Greetings everyone. Welcome to our show. We are having our second show of Conversations That Matters. Welcome and thank you for being with us. My name is Eddie Mariba and thanks for joining us.
And my name is Nomsa Zita. We welcome you on the show. Today we are having two marvelous guests with us and we are talking about a very, very serious conversation. As you all know, we've just lost a young soul. Our future, our tomorrow just passed on due to this crisis. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, before we go any further, I wanted our guests to introduce themselves at home and tell us who they are, what they do. Just give us in 30 seconds.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Stella Ngubane. I call myself a social entrepreneurship. I believe that social ills and business do work together. So every day that is my work, social ills and entrepreneurship. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Neo Chachi. He just took my introduction. Nevertheless, I'm a social philanthropist, someone who loves politics, I guess, but also love to speak around issues that matters around our society.
Okay, gentlemen, we are so honored to be having you today. So we have questions for you. As you know that South Africa is facing such a difficult situation right now through bullying. So according to your understanding, I want you to tell us and tell our viewers at home, what is bullying? According to yourself and according to your level of understanding. And also, have you ever been victims of bullying? Can we start with you, Mr. Sten?
Well, thank you so much. So, bullying, according to my understanding, is an abstract of the word bull. You know the bullying goons. So a bully is a person who, when he comes into a room, one, it's a forceful entrance. Number two, is a dominant, wanting to be always ahead of everyone, to be noticed, and to victimize those who may not want to acknowledge the bully. In terms of being a victim of bully, of course, I mean, growing up in Kasi, there were times where I was bullied, and I think that has been one of the worst experiences of my life, and I don't wish anybody to be bullied. It's one of those reasons that made me to want to make a difference and not be a bully myself, but be the one that defends those who are being bullied, but also understand where the bullies come from.
Can we come to you, Mr. Chachi?
Sure, I think he has explained what bullying is, and one, in not so many words, would want to also say maybe bullying is taking advantage of other people, and maybe we'll expand as we're going to ask other questions. But have I been a victim? Yes. Have I been a perpetrator as well? Yes. So I want to look at it in both sides. And why do I want us to look at it dual? It's because when I was young, I was victimized as a bully by police. I remember one of our experiences, and maybe one would say we should also ask ourselves: is the level of crime in bullying? Because when we got into our lower primary, our experience was bad. The first day, my friend was even stabbed by a nail because the guy wanted to take our lunch boxes, and I still remember vividly what happened. So he still has a scar even today, based on that experience. And then when I got into a higher primary here in Daveyton, when I got there, I met friends and I became a bully there because I felt like I'm being victimized. But as well, I felt like I now know the corners of the area. So I found myself as well being a perpetrator. Then I got to high school. When I got to high school, it became a crime more than bullying, because I became part of gangsters, two gangsters to be exact. It was Daniel Hector's and activities. They used to call themselves devil dogs. So like a youth sector of that devil dogs, and we became bullies, but bullies in a more excess way, because in high school I don't think it's bullying alone, but it gets to a level of crime, because you are not only bullying people, but you get to a stage where you rob them, and by robbing them, you also rob them using objects like knives, objects like guns. So up to a point where police had to intervene in 2001 and 2002, and we had to enter between what we were doing, to a point where in Mabuya, a secondary school, there would be police men guarding blocks. And they were guarding blocks not necessarily because of issues of gangsterism alone, but because crime was excessive at school, to a point where even teachers, things were taken, mostly by most of us. So you would even find new teachers being bullied by us.
Wow.
So I've been a victim in as well.
And I like the fact that you are tackling it from both the perpetrator and the victim. We're looking at it from both sides of the coin. And I think it is important that when we discuss the topic, we do not focus only on just one aspect of it, but on both, because I think to a certain extent, both sides of the fence, they need help and they need rehabilitation. And I think looking at the basics of it, I would also want to ask if there are any different types of bullying, because, depends. Some actions may not be viewed as bullying or not. Are there different types? And when you answer that, Mrs. Cele, can you also maybe delve into what's something called cyberbullying?
Yeah.
What is that, and how does it work?
Thanks for that question, because one of the cause of bullying is that the bully himself is victimized. An unresolved incident that you see how the bully has affected you, and you're looking at the replica to say, how will this act be handled? If I report this, how will this person be dealt with? Now, most of the time, we see bullies getting away with bullying someone because, one, they are seen as victims, but some people also see them as perpetrators. Because a bully is one and two, is intertwined. You are a victim, but also a perpetrator. Nobody wakes up and become a bully. It's this incident that are not resolved. Then you take a character of a bully. So a bully is anytime you want to intimidate, anytime you want to infringe fear and dominance on someone, intentionally, because you want to make sure that your words or your dominance is known. I mean, I love the fact that he also listed some of the gangsters that they came, because they now you are a gang, but when you are in a gang now, so you have a name of the bully. The reason why we see cyberbullying is it's when people in the internet, they are bullying one another. You can see them in posts. Somebody will speak with you in a very bad way and call you names. Doesn't know you, have never seen you, but they will speak bad on you. Or sometimes you have a different pigment of skin, and you'll find yourself being bullied on that, because people, they'll diss you on the results of what you are different about. If you have a particular maybe appearance, even in the social space or in the media space, people either speak about your nose, speak about your eyes, speak about. So the cyberbullying comes as a result of what is it that people see something that they can victimize you with. And why I say victimizing, it's when they try to make sure that you don't say anything above what is going to be listed on you. You can't tell me anything with a big head. You can't tell me anything with a big mouth. You can't tell me anything with a big nose. And all these things are fragmented in our minds as bullying, because you are now trying to belittle this person, and every one of us is uniquely made. And when there is no message that is against the bullying, it perpetuates. Bullies or bullying always happens in a space or an environment where is glorious, or where there is no anybody who's putting a barrier to this to say it ends here. So the cyberbullying is now big in our society, since young people are also in the internet, in the social space, on a different social media space. And today people take pictures more than they take anything. So the cyberbullying could also be, your person that you are dating, can want to show their friends that me and my girlfriend are having sex, and they say no ways. So you see, I'm gonna take a picture of us or a video of us, when we're doing the deeds. It's also cyberbullying, because you are not being told about their recording. We have seen people taking pictures of people without their permission. You need somebody's permission so that you can take them a picture. But these things are now becoming a norm, Because even the person who takes a picture or a video of an incident must have a permission to do so.
Yes.
But we don't look at that because people just look at the content and they laugh about it or they smile about it. But we have seen those crimes or those acts continuing because nobody puts a line and say, you can't be taking pictures. Why do you have a phone at school? You know, it's those things that today we need to be questioning because they give an environment of bullying. So cyberbullying is big. There's also bullying at work, you know, where you are working with your boss or your colleagues could be bullying you. Bullying is any time you feel, because the feeling of bullying is nobody can announce it to you. You know it yourself that I feel here I'm being intimidated. Number two, I feel here I'm being oppressed. I feel here I'm being embarrassed. I feel this behavior of this person is affecting my rights. So any victimization that happens to you, it might be bullying in many ways than one.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bubani. Now, I want to come to another question, but I will pose it to you, Mr.
Okay.
Chachi. You know, as Mr. Bubani explained, bullying is broad. It is there at school, it is there on adults as well, even at home.
Yes.
So now I want to understand, and also to our viewers at home, is there anything wrong with the upbringing of children?
Sure. Such a powerful question, but as well, I think I thought he will touch certain things on types of bullying, because there's also elements of bullying that sometimes we find ourselves overseeing or having an oversight over or overlooking. I'll make an example with racial bullying, which one would want to call or want to class it as racism.
Yes.
And it's something that prevails daily, and it prevails daily because bullying is the issue of power. And because it's an issue of power, you find someone who finds themselves inferior to you, inserting power or using their power towards you. And racial bullying has been something that has been prevailing in Africa for years. It's true. Whether from the context of policing, whether from the context of a workplace, like he has mentioned. Because if sometimes your employer is white, you find them bullying you, particularly because of their skin color and because of their race. And sometimes you find yourself having to take whatsoever that they are doing towards you with a pinch of salt, particularly because you're getting a salary. So we find ourselves in those social ills, and those inequalities sometimes makes us acknowledge or accept certain levels of bullying. I'll make an example. There's what we call insensitive jokes, and we even find them playing or being aired on radio. Someone body shaming someone in the name or in the quotation of being a comedian, but in reality it's bullying. It's because someone else would see that person whom maybe, for example, Trevor Noah was speaking about in the context or sugarcoating it as comedy, but the reality is you were talking about me and you were talking about my body, and the reality is what you have been said will last, and what will make it last is that it will become the perception of society, even if I see myself differently. So regardless of how I see myself, because you have given a society a perception about me, the society bullies me in the name of comedy. They bully me in the name of insensitive jokes. And what also killed us in that context is our societal makeup. And I will also go back to the issue of upbringing. So the societal makeup, as young people, we grow up and we find ourselves saying jokes of one another, saying jokes to one another, or exchanging jokes to one another with our social conditions. So you were wearing a shoe at school, it is torn somewhere. We make it a joke, but the reality is we don't realize that we are also either creating a bully in you or creating a victim of suicide. And because it becomes a joke, it becomes a laughing matter. But the reality is your social condition has not changed. Tomorrow you're going to come back with that shoe, and as you are coming back with that shoe, your esteem has been lowered, and what has lowered your esteem is your social condition. And later, how you even see your social condition, even at home, you begin to disrespect your parents. You don't disrespect them because you do because of lack of upbringing, but you disrespect them because you feel like they are the reason why you have the social condition, and you are now a victim at school of laughter because of a torn shirt. You are a victim of laughter because someone does not know that your parent doesn't have soap. They only afford soap once, or if they afford soap, they afford a sunlight, but your shirt is dirty and we think it's dirty because of negligence, but we don't know that it's a social condition that has resulted to dirty shirt. And when we see it, insensitive jokes that are bold at school, we see them as jokes, we see them as laughter, we see them as something that is therapeutic, but the reality is it's destroying someone, it's lethal, it's a weapon in reality. So upbringing as well can result to bullying, can also result in you becoming a victim of bullying. And why do I say it can result to bullying and it can also result into you becoming a victim of bullying? Is because most of the time our parents and our upbringing, they do not become people that teach us confidence or people that instill confidence in us. So I'll make an example. We thank God for us, and why do we thank God for us is that we make sure that any negative element that was used towards us during our upbringing, we don't do it towards our children. I have twins, they are 9 months. I have a daughter, she's 12 years. So always when I see her, I always say you are beautiful, regardless of whether she's ugly or not. When I see my sons, they are 9 months, but I always say to them, you are great. I always say to them, you are kings. One, I call him a doctor, the other an advocate. Yes. So always when I play with them, I even shout to another to say to him, you are wanted in regional advocate. Why do I do that? I am instilling confidence in him, so that constantly when he sees himself, he has a framework in family, and what the framework in family has done has given him a structure. What is that structure? The structure of confidence. So when he gets to school, even if there's a bully, but he knows how to stand up for himself, not with fights, not with fighting back, but to have so much confidence to deal with a bully, either by going to report it or by ensuring that you are putting the bully to their place. Yes. So the reality is that what makes bullying prevail at school or to prevail in society, it's because more often we also lack confidence to fight it. Mm-hmm. So because we lack confidence to stand up to it, the bully will always prevail over us. So I'll also use just a simple quotation by Steve Biko. Steve Biko says the weapon of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressor. So he makes us realize that colonization came as a result of mental slavery. So they ensured that what do they do? What they ensured was they don't have confidence. So we are going to ensure that we belittle their confidence so that we take power over them. So what makes white people even today to prevail is that when you see white people, even if when you are a black person today, you would say black governance is not right, white people were better, because you constantly think intelligence and wisdom is in skin color, and you find yourself not realizing that by so doing, not only you are belittling yourself, but you have also become a victim of racial bullying. So the reality and the truth here in the aspect of upbringing does result, but it results in two ways. And I want us to look at it in two ways. Not only look at it at the fact that there's an upbringing that can produce a bully, while as well the victim of bullying can also be as a result that the family does not teach a child confidence. I had a sister who would remind me that I'm ugly. So if at school they are saying it, how will it not defeat me? How will it not affect me if I have a sibling who will see me in the morning and say, we are not sure if you're one of us? So the reality here is family as well does lead, and it does contribute towards maybe being a victim of bullying, because it does not wake me up in the morning and say you are a better kid. It does not wake me up in the morning and say, though your feet look like they have rickets, but you are pretty, and you are going to be married by a handsome husband, you are going to be a lawyer, you are going to be this. So because the family does not give me that foundational base that make me someone who's confident, bullying as well comes as a result of what the family failed to instill in me. So I become a victim because there was no confidence instilled in me, and there was no higher esteem instilled in me. But if a child has great shoulders, a child is able to say, but you can't bully me. I'm going to report you. You cannot do this. So they even stop it from happening, or they prevent it from happening. And you find that as well. I want to go back to this because I've never had decent conversations with my father until I was born again, and until I was old. And I'm saying this delivering a need to have a relationship with my father. So I experienced an absent father, not particularly because he never had time for me, but it was also my fault because I never saw a need to talk to him. Because society taught me that if I have friends, I have enough. But until I realized that had I had the conversation I had with my father today, I would be more greater than I am. And what would have made me greater is I know that my father would have assured me of a number of things he's assuring me of today when I was still young. So the issue of conversation closes a gap. The issue of parental relation closes a gap of such incidents and of bullying as well, to be exact. So how does it close it? It closes it in the context of saying, if I have a relationship with my parents, if I have a relationship with my mother or my father, I begin to even understand my identity and who I am, and I begin to even talk to them about things that I'm uncomfortable concerning at school. So the reality is, one would say one can fight bullying at school, but the issue is, what has the family taught you? Because another family can say to a child, but what are you creating? What are you creating? Because you can fight back and kill someone. So the reality is, the context of family here should be, as much as the family plays much role in making sure or preventing that a child can be bullied, but the question should be, what is the content that the family will be giving the child at that particular time? So it's important as well, when we come to the issue of upbringing, that we need to also understand that this is not only the issue of upbringing, it's also the issue of schooling. So are our teachers trained to a level of being clinical psychologists? Are they trained to a level of being social workers? And why am I saying that? I'm saying that because certain bullies or certain people who are bullying is because of rejections and absent fathers that they meet at home. So the family upbringing or the family setup can be a result of how I handle myself in society. And I handle myself in society because I have a mother that does not want me to ask them about my father, who's not in my life. And because always when I ask them, they answer me with anger. When I see anyone, I see someone that I can exert the anger that I'm shown at home. So the reality is that the makeup of this as well should also take us to the issue of education. That when people are studying a bachelor's of education, when they're doing B.Ed, is B.Ed equipping teachers enough to deal with young people psychologically, to deal with them mentally? Because there is no way you're going to teach me on a conflicted mind. There is no way. So don't think you're going to give me education if my mind is conflicted. Because what I think about is what I saw in the morning. What I think about, it's my mother who doesn't have food. What I think about, it's my mother who just told me that I'm useless like my father. So there is no way you're going to teach me science if you've never first dealt with ensuring that you prepare my mind to accept it. So the reality is, we also need to, if we are touching the issues of bullying, we need to touch it from the context of family, but as well the context of education, to ask ourselves, are teachers equipped to deal not only with bullying, but to deal with the mental with the mental conflict that young people are faced with in their lives? Because if I have a teacher who will converse with me, not laugh about my situation. We have teachers that laugh about our situations. We have teachers like that. Teachers who were immature, who became teachers because of professionalism. They were not teachers because they were called to be teachers. They were teachers because they wanted something that would give them a job.
They didn't have love for the children.
Because there was no love, you find them teacher. You find a teacher bullying a child. You find a teacher saying, a teacher. You find a teacher. And because as much as they are taught, the syllabus lacks the issues of equipping teachers to be people that can deal with any mental struggle.
I hear you. That's a mouthful. And I'm glad we're not just dishing out our issues, but we are coming up with our solutions. And I just want to thank our guests for such an eye-opening discussion and for all the details that they've given us. I'm hoping to corner like Kaya, who is listening, who is being helped by the information that we are giving out to them today. And unfortunately, we've run out of time, and I just want to say thank you so much to our guests, the Apostle Mfundisi Uneojaji, and the man of God, Uscelo Ngubane. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you very much for joining us. To our viewers at home, I'm sorry that we didn't have enough time. I wish we had the whole day to talk about this, but I want you to take this. It is time we learn to love each other. It is time we learn how to boost each other's ego. It is time we try not to present a united front, but build a united kingdom. A human's life, it's like an iceberg. We are only given the opportunity to see the tip of the ice, but we cannot see what's within the ocean. So there is more to a person than what you see on their outside. So let us start loving one another. Thank you for joining us until we meet again.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Daveytontv. All the details are on your screens. Thank you so much for joining us. See you on our next episode.
Thank you.